Okay. Hello, Inspiration Nations. I am very, very privileged to be taking tonight's training, which is all about time management. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kate Solomon. I'm a Regional Vice President and Independent Consultant with Arbonne Australia and part of the beautiful Katrina Andrew and Angie Weston success line. And I am so honoured to be sharing a few little tips and tricks and some strategies that work really, really well for me with regards to time management. And I feel this is a really important topic and something that I think is really underplayed because I don't know about you, but I absolutely and utterly can sometimes feel massively overwhelmed. And it's something I talk to my team all the time about, feeling really, really overwhelmed with just how much there is to do in our business and how little perceived time that we actually have to do it. And I often hear, time and time again, Kate, how on earth do you manage to do it all and, kind of have your cake and eat it too? And it's really just by adopting these really simple strategies that I feel, as I said, very, very privileged to share with you tonight. So before I begin, I'm just going to really quickly talk to you a little bit about me. So I started, just so you can understand more so how on earth I actually do manage to get it all done around my busy life. So I actually started my business 3 years ago, and after 12 months I was able to quit my job. But for that 12-month period, things were crazy busy. I had an 18-month-old little girl, a 3-year-old little boy, and I worked full-time hours in Melbourne City, in Collins Street, so commuting an hour each way each day in and out of the city. And I built my business whilst working those crazy, crazy hours. Arbonne have been incredibly generous, and I've managed to have a fair bit of success along the way, and it's a total privilege to be able to teach and train others on doing what I do, because I know if I can do it, really anyone can. But I've absolutely and utterly, had some success with regards to earning the incentives, some of the incentive trips, was given the keys to Mercedes-Benz, which is so awesome and such a really, very humbling experience, and had, a lot of fun along the way. But things have been really busy, and so I absolutely and utterly really want to implore you, if you're feeling really busy and feeling really overwhelmed, just be open to listening to some of the things I'm going to share with you tonight and some of the tips and tricks, because you just never know what you're going to pick up. So right here, right now, Arbonne is literally all I do. But I also have 3 children, as you can see in one of the images. So I gave birth to my beautiful third baby, baby Billy, who's now 7 months old. And I also have my son, my oldest son, who's in prep, so first year of primary school. And I also have my daughter, Chloe, who's 4, and she's in sessional kinder. So between school drop-off and pick-up, between kindergarten drop-off and pick-up, she's there for 15 hours a week. And between having a newborn, I can really, really appreciate how crazy busy life is, because I'm also managing my business and helping my team and having a life and also being a good wife. So I really, really understand and really appreciate the ability to fit this business into the nooks and crannies. So hopefully you get some value from tonight's training. So to kick off, one of the questions I really want you to think about, because I'm going to ask you a few tonight, is, are you busy? Do you genuinely feel like you are a busy person? Pretty much everyone I think that's on this call, including myself, is going to say, yes, I'm super busy, because whilst I have, what I would consider time freedom, trust me, I fill all that time up with so much stuff. So I absolutely feel like I'm busy too. Do you feel like you're a little bit time poor? Are you stressed out? Would you really love to be able to have more time to do your business? And would you love to have, the ability to do it all with ease and grace? It's really important, and something that I probably learned over time, that it's really, really important that you learn how to control and manage your time right from the beginning of your business, or at least learn how to take back control of your time so that you're in the driver's seat of your diary, because you absolutely and utterly can have it all and do it all. So I think one of the things, we really all do live quite busy lives, and many of us do work our businesses around another full-time or part-time job. So it's so important to learn how to fit it all in so that things get done and that your business continues to move forward and you achieve your goals. So I feel the more you make Arbonne a part of your life and integrate it into your daily activities and interactions, the more fun you're going to have. And that's the whole point of why we do what we do. And it's never really going to feel like work. So it almost goes without saying that planning your day and your week and your month in advance ensures that you're able to fit it all in and get things done really, really easily. The term time management, which is the whole topic of tonight's training, is, I feel, a bit of a misnomer, because you simply cannot manage time. But what you can do is actually manage the events in your life in relation to time. You may often wish for more time, but you only get 24 hours every day. And how you use that time depends on the skills that that you can pick up through a bit of self-analysis, planning, prioritizing, and really importantly, self-control and discipline. Because, Richard Branson, the amazing, amazing Richard Branson, can do what he does with the same time that we have. So I kind of feel if we employ some strategies that he uses and that are really, really simple to do, then we can achieve something similar too. Because much like money, time is valuable and it is limited. So it really has to be protected. You have to protect your time, use it wisely, and budget for it. And that's the whole point of having a schedule, which is one of the things we'll go through. So when thinking about your business and what it is that we actually do, I encourage you to have a look at this slide, because I've sort of mapped out what it is that we actually do in Arbonne. So we prospect. So that is, we're not prospecting for gold, we actually prospect for the diamonds that want to partner us as a business. So prospecting is actually inviting TA, asking people to come on a workshop, asking for a referral, asking for a gold bag. IPA, or income producing activity, is actually doing the workshop or doing the luxury facial. We do a bit of admin, that's the actual dropping off of the gold bag, entering in orders, preferred client care if that's something that you do. We also do coaching and personal development. So that's meeting with your team members or your sponsor, reading, listening to Learn and Burns, SoundCloud recordings, etc. So the question is, and one of the reasons why I hope you're listening to this call is, when do you actually do all of this in addition to working full-time or part-time or actually being a parent? So many times I hear from my consultants about how busy they are, and I've even shared with you how busy I am. But when I'm talking to a lot of people, I actually ask them, what's your current QV? Like, what's your PQV at right now? Because what I've found when I'm asking that question a lot of the time is that there is no personal sales volume or no personal sponsoring activity happening in that person's business. So I really want you to stop and ask yourself a huge question. Are you thinking about your business and all the work that you've got to do? Or are you actively actually working your business by going out and doing workshops, doing luxury facials, having one-on-ones, attending training, listening to Learn and Burn and those sorts of things? Actively working your business is income producing activity. Actively working your business doesn't mean that you're a training junkie or that you know every single SoundCloud recording that has ever been published. Actively working your business is doing the activities that get you paid, the IPA. So in the coaching calls I do with my team, I love to look at and really openly discuss where my team members are spending their time and really make sure that there's actual IPA in there. So not just thinking about making the calls, not just attending training, but actually spending the time making their prospecting calls, booking in luxury facials and those sorts of things, and not actively thinking about it, because it can be so overwhelming when you just get stuck in that mindset of, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do, I'm so busy. But you're actually not really that busy when you think about what it is that you're actually doing. I guess a couple of tips I can share with you as well about the income producing activity side of things is, I feel in my business, and I'm sure your sponsors would feel the same and your upline would feel the same, that IPA always trumps training, like hands down, virtually every time. I can't tell you how many training sessions I've actually missed or I've had to leave early because I've got some IPA scheduled in, like a workshop or a facial or a one-on-one. For those of you who are new, who don't necessarily know what IPA is, I did explain it really briefly before, but probably should stop and just pause in case you are new listening to the call going, what is she rabbiting on about? So IPA is, actually doing the activity, like I mentioned, that is generating an income. So it's actually doing workshops. It's actually doing the luxury facials. It's actually getting something where you're going to be generating an order or generating a new business partner or a new lead. So really now I guess I wanted to get into the crux of my training and the meat of it and give you a couple of hot tips and keep it sort of short, sharp and shiny and sweet. So my first tip is really knowing how you spend your time. One helpful way to really help you determine how you're actually using your time is to keep a time log. So actually log down what it is you're doing in sort of 15-minute increments for a whole week. If you can't do a whole week, try to do a few days and then just stop. Summarize that. We've got the list here about, some of the things from a business perspective that you might be doing or personal perspective or your job, your actual work that you're doing in addition to your Arbonne business, and evaluate the results and where you're spending your time. Check in with yourself as well. If you set yourself monthly goals or weekly goals, did you actually get everything that you needed to get done that week? What things did you do that required the most amount of time? what time of day did you feel you were really your most productive? So, when did you get the stuff done? This log's going to really help you analyse where most of your time is actually devoted, whether it's business, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's personal, whether it's recreation. And one thing I really want you to do, and it's massively confronting when you actually do this, is actually track how much time you're spending on social media, specifically Facebook. Facebook absolutely is one of the most powerful platforms really anywhere in the world for social media marketing, but it can actually be a massive time drain. I love Facebook as a business tool, and I really enjoy keeping in touch with my friends and family, as well as being a bit of a crazy Facebook stalker. I'm pretty good at stalking people through Facebook and finding out who's connected to who. But I absolutely not only have found in the past that I've gone over the line and I've wasted time needlessly, and time that really should have gone to other things like my business or my family. And so I've actually had to self-correct, but I didn't know I needed to self-correct until I actually realized how much time I was spending on Facebook. So I really encourage you, if you're going onto Facebook, do it with purpose and with intent. And when you get what you need to get done, switch it off, and you can always schedule in some time or go back later once you've done everything on your list of things to do, and some of the strategies I'll share with you later, and always reward yourself with that Facebook time rather than going on because the notifications like ping popped up on your phone and you've then gone, okay, cool, I'll do that. And then you've just trawled through your news feed and all of a sudden 20 minutes is gone, and that 20 minutes could have been spent somewhere else. There's also a really handy app I'd love to share with you in actually researching for this training, and I've delivered this training to my team. But I don't know about this app actually, so I actually only just found this in preparing for this training. But there's an app called Rescue Time, and you can actually download this tool, and it will really help you understand your daily habits and where you can then focus and be a bit more productive. And set up this time tracking system, but specifically find out how much time you are actually on Facebook, because this is going to totally empower you as to decide whether or not that investment of time, specifically in Facebook, is actually reasonable and is it paying you off. Is it IPA? That's the question. Is it actually paying your bills at the end of the day? Because I feel knowing what you're doing really helps you manage what you're doing. And I've actually found the data that I've done with using this app of real value for helping me plan and stop the mindless trawling on Facebook and Instagram. It is a little bit addictive and you can get sucked into this vortex. One of the other tips that I can share with you as well, which I did, and it was really hard to do, but then once I did it, it was so liberating. Delete Facebook app off your phone. Delete it altogether. Whenever I've gone for an incentive like the New York incentive or the Caribbean, when the Arbonne incentive trip, or even the Arbonne incentive trip of 2014 when we went to Fiji, I deleted the app off my phone for a few months because I found every time I got a notification, I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's all about. And I'd open it up and then 10 minutes might go because I'll be trawling through my news feed. Delete it off your phone, and you can absolutely and utterly go back in if you are desperate to get a fix. You can go in through Safari, or you can just go in first thing in the morning and last thing at night and get your Facebook fix and keep in contact with what's going on and seeing what's going on, because obviously our teams and most of the teams in Debbie's Success Line do use Facebook as the main form of communication, but use your time wisely. And this leads me on to my second tip, which is all about setting priorities. One of the easiest ways to prioritize your time is just to make a simple to-do list. Like most people have a to-do list. I'm a to-do list junkie. I love my to-do list. And whether you need a daily to-do list, a weekly to-do list, or a monthly to-do list really depends on your lifestyle and your business needs. I absolutely and utterly use my tool to help me work out what needs to be done each and every single day. So when I find myself with 5 minutes or longer, I go straight to my to-do list and I know exactly what I need to do, rather than spending the 5 minutes I found myself with free thinking about all the things I need to get done. And very quickly, my to-do list, it doesn't really matter because the time that I had free is gone. My Billy's woken up, or I've got to rush off to do school pickup or kinder pickup, and the time I had is gone. So having that to-do list on you at all times and keeping it up to date, and keeping a pen on you, so as you think of things, you can write them down. I feel if I don't write things down, because life is so busy and I'm slightly a sleep-deprived crazy person at the moment, which I think most mums can relate to and dads can relate to. If it's not written down, it doesn't get done. So if you keep it with you, you can absolutely and utterly tick things off. And I really encourage you, when you're using a to-do list, rank the items in order of priority. So that, because your goal really with a to-do list is not to mark off the most items. It's actually to mark off the highest priority items. And those are really, for us in Arbonne, the ones that are IPA or lead to IPA. So I personally have my to-do list. I type it up on my computer so that I can cross things off manually, and I highlight things with a highlighter. So they're the things that have to get done. And my third, which leads me on to my third tip, which is all about using a planner. And this is a bit of a planner that I personally use, and I'm happy to post this once this recording is completed. You'll see it coming up through the Facebook feed. So my tip really around is using a planner is because it just helps you really work out what it is that you have to get done, because, you know, I don't know about you, but my to-do list is like way longer than my crazy long arms. So, you know, it would be really overwhelming if I looked at that to-do list every day and thought, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Like, there's so much to do. The fact that we've got so much to do in our business is such a blessing, because it just means our business is going to keep moving forward. But by planning what it is I've got to do on what day has really helped me kind of like chunk my time down, and it hasn't been such an overwhelming task. So absolutely and utterly, you know, I would not have had the success that I've had in my business and teaching my team to have success, especially with my crazy lifestyle and their crazy lifestyles, without really planning everything out in advance. Because as I said, it just would have been way too overwhelming. So this tool here is something that I write down off my to-do list every week. I, you know, refresh my to-do list on Sunday evening. I go through my to-do list, I map out my week, and then I actually transfer my to-do list onto this planner, and that helps me prioritize my tasks. So I know every single day what are the, you know, top couple of things that I have to do that day before I go to bed. And I really try, and it's so cathartic to like scrub that list off. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I've even written things on my list and then marked them off, even if I haven't had to do something. But it is very, very satisfying and rewarding to like mark things off your list. So in also doing things from a planning perspective, so in addition to having my to-do list and having this daily focus plan, which is a tool that works really, really well for me, I also use a diary. And I highly encourage you, if you want to be successful in this business and you feel that you've got a busy lifestyle, then use a diary. And this is an example of my diary for next week. So this is my iPhone diary, and it's synced to my Mac. But if you know what, this works really well for me having it in electronic form, because I take my phone everywhere, because it's obviously a business tool and I need it, you know, in case anyone needs to get in contact with me from my kids' schools or anything. So this iPhone diary is amazing, and you can also sync this with your significant other or your partner, so you can kind of know where each one of you are, especially if you've got kids and you're kind of, you know, having to high five each other as one comes home and the other one has to go out. But if you're not an electronic person, then absolutely and utterly use a paper-based diary, and you can get them from anywhere. I mean, Typo and Kmart have them really, really cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money. So if you use a paper-based diary, a couple of tips I'd share with you is I'd highly encourage you to get a diary that's got both a month view and a weekly view, because this is going to make things very, very easy for you to identify where your gaps are, not only in your time, but also in your business activity. So if you've got a whole week and there is no time in there scheduled for income producing activity, that's going to set some alarm bells off in your mind. Or if you're looking at your month ahead and the next month and you can see there's minimal income producing activity in there, that's when you can absolutely do things like a booking blitz and speaking to your upline on how you can fill your diary with income producing activity. So having that week and month view makes it very, very easy for that process to happen. So when looking at your calendar, you know, I encourage you to make sure that, you know, it's got allocated spots for, you know, all the bits and pieces and things that are going on in your life, and specifically allocated spots for income producing activity. So you might not be in crazy busy momentum in income producing activity mode, but schedule the time that you are free in your diary and put it out to the universe. It's the law of attraction, and say, I am free on Tuesday night and I am going to schedule something in on that time. And even if you don't get something scheduled in on that time, use it to work your business. If you are working at the moment and you had a meeting, you know, on Tuesday night, for example, you can't just not rock up to that meeting. So I really encourage you to specifically schedule in time and use that time and be disciplined in sticking to your time. But how essentially can you make scheduling simple? So viewing your calendar a week at a time, planning all your activity in advance, as I've just explained. And that's, you know, really where the planning part of how to manage your time effectively does come in. So what I would encourage you to do, and what I encourage my team to do, is schedule in your personal or your family time first, or if you're working this business in addition to a job, scheduling your job in first, and then your personal and family time in second, so all your not negotiable commitments. And then you'll actually easily be able to see and schedule in all your other stuff around the days and times and the gaps that you've got free for things like IPA, admin, coaching and training and so on. And I guess in doing all of this scheduling, I really encourage you to think about when you are your most mentally clear, because that's when you should do all your thought-intensive work, like talking with prospects and entering in group presentation orders or following up your clients. But obviously, of course, you do need to think about when the people you need to connect with are also available. So you're not calling them at 10 p.m. at night when you're most alert, because obviously that's not going to necessarily work for them. So you do need to have a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of balance. But I also encourage you on the flip side of that is think about when you are your most groggy, because that's when you should do your easy mindless tasks like scheduling in your Facebook posts for social media, for your business, preparing your to-do list and listening to training. So I want you to sort of have a look at my calendar. You know, I am super busy, but look at all the gaps. Like there's so many gaps in my calendar, and I can really easily see not only where I'm spending my time, but also where all the gaps of my time are. And you can see that there's lots of different colours on there. So I use a colour coding system for my diary, and I highly encourage you to do the same. It's a super, super simple way of keeping track of your activity. It's really visual. You can do it in paper-based form or electronic form, and it absolutely, utterly helps you see exactly where your time is being spent by colour coding these things. So the colours that I use are, black is not on my calendar. So you can see, I just click back on here, black isn't on my calendar, but if I did have another full-time or part-time job, that would be scheduled in there as well. So I would schedule in my black first, which is for my existing part-time or full-time job, because, like you, I started my job in addition, I started this business in addition to my job. So, block in all of your normal working hours, but excluding any lunch breaks that you have, because you absolutely and utterly can schedule in IPA or personal development or coaching in that time instead. So green is something that I use for my income producing activities. So my one-on-ones, my workshops, attending Discover Arbon events with guests, a 3-way call with my upline and a prospect. Block in, the IPA dates, like I mentioned as well, into your calendar, even if you don't have anything in there. Law of attraction, like I mentioned, because you're setting yourself up for the dates that you are available. And it's really easy then when you have someone say, okay, so when are you free to do a workshop or a one-on-one? You can go straight to your diary and pull out those dates and times rather than sort of messing around thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just not really, really sure. Yellow is for coaching and training sessions as well as personal development. So that's what I use as well, personally. These are the non-income producing activities, but absolutely necessary. So the yellow time is coaching calls, meetings, training calls, listening to Learn and Burns, strategy session with, your upline. And I highly encourage you to schedule in a minimum of 30 minutes every day for personal development, and use the recurring button if you're using it electronically, because then you can absolutely and utterly shove it in. And if you shove it in the spot that it doesn't fit, then you can just move it so that it doesn't drop out of your diary altogether. Blue is the personal or family time. Purple is planning time. And I recommend scheduling in 5 minutes each night before you go to bed and 30 minutes on a Sunday evening, which is what works for me, to actually plan out your daily tasks and your weekly tasks. So 5 minutes every night to fill in that tool I showed you earlier will really help you schedule the activities and the tasks you've got to do the next day. And then I schedule 30 minutes on a Sunday evening every single week to map out my week so that I can really clearly see where I am, what I'm doing. If there's any gaps in my diary, I can absolutely and utterly put some things on my to-do list to fix those gaps and plug them in. Because it's going to give you, like I said, a good overview of what you've got coming up, and just not get stressed about all the stuff that you've got to get done, because you've got a clear plan to deliver it. And absolutely and utterly, I really encourage you, even if you use an electronic form, print it out and stick it on your fridge and share your schedule with your family so that everyone knows you've got total transparency of where you are, what you're doing on what specific day. And with that in mind, I have found, just with our lifestyle, that I've actually had to schedule in my family time, because all the areas that we've gone through, all the different colours and all the different tasks, they are all really actually quite important. But so you have to kind of be able to shove them in somehow, but you want to make sure that you're feeling balanced. Like, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another. There are times, which I'll share shortly, that you will find that, and it's absolutely and utterly worth feeling like that for short periods of time, but you want to have balance in your life. So by really chunking down your time and just paying attention to each of the areas where you're spending your time, you're really going to discover there's absolutely and utterly room for balance and the ability to breathe, as well as the opportunity to build a really, kick-ass successful Arbon business. But the key to balance is sticking to your schedule. So like I said, I absolutely and utterly have had to schedule my family time in, and I am truly and utterly emotionally, and physically and mentally present in whatever I've got in my schedule. So if I've scheduled in family time, then I am fully present with my family. I don't have my phone with me. I typically don't take calls. It's on silent so that I don't have that mummy guilt that smacks me around sometimes. And some of you might be able to relate to that are parents. When I'm then having to leave the house to go to a one-on-one or go to a workshop or go to do some training with my team, because I know that I have earlier in the day, or I will be tomorrow or the next day, absolutely and utterly in my time block for my family, truly physically, mentally and emotionally present. So I really encourage you to do the same. And, don't get caught up in the actual time, the amount of time that you're investing into each area of your life, but just focus on the quality of what you're doing. Because, huge businesses are being built on consistent, not constant activity and efforts. You do not have to quit your day job to be successful in Arbonne. There are too many examples of people that have got to the vice president level with doing a full-time job in addition to their business. You just have to be smart about how you use your time. Because you can have your planner, you have your to-do list ready, you have your schedule, and when you find yourself with some time, you can just tick off a few things from your list. So if you, I think this is my next slide, if you really treat your business like a job and respect your schedule, respect that IPA schedule and the schedule that you're doing, you absolutely and utterly have success. This is the simplicity of the business, and this is simplicity of the concept of time management. Even the busiest people find time for what they want to do and what they feel is important, because scheduling is not just recording what you have to do, but it's also making a time commitment to yourself to do the things you want to do. So schedule in things like that yoga class or personal development, and turn your phone off and be fully present during that time. I had an hour each way each day into my commute to work, and I used to schedule in personal development time in there. So I'd listen to an audiobook or a SoundCloud, or I would use that time to do Facebook, really try to leverage your time quite effectively. There's things, that you can delegate. What can you delegate to others, like cleaning, if you can afford it? Outsource the cleaning. I tell you, it's such a relief if you have the opportunity to do so, to actually have that worry and that distraction taken out of your mind. Can you do online food shopping just so that you don't have to go to the shop and do all that food? Can you do a meal planner? These sorts of things are the tips and tricks that I do as well. Really, really help me manage my time quite effectively. You can even schedule things in like Facebook or checking emails or returning phone calls. Don't feel if someone calls you that you have to call them back straight away. Like, wait a couple of hours, and they actually might find the answer to the question themselves. You just never know. That point I mentioned earlier though before about balance, I just want to come back to that and just do a full circle. There are absolutely going to be times in your business when there's going to be things that are going to be absolutely and utterly out of kilter, and you are not going to feel like you are balanced. So when you go for things like an incentive trip or any incentive, an elevation, or you might be relaunching your business, you are going to find that things are a little bit out of balance and you're not going to have a huge amount of free time. But these things will absolutely settle down. You'll get so much from that short-term burst of effort and energy that you'll be able to reward yourself later with more time, or treat yourself to something like a facial, or if you're a woman, you can get your nails done, or you can go out for lunch or go out for coffee, or buy a new book. So a few other things in closing. There is, you might have heard this saying before, but there is no QV in TV. So please do yourself a favour and stop just mindlessly watching it every single night. Watch it with purpose, or record it and watch it later as a reward to yourself after you've completed some income producing activity. That tip about spending 5 minutes every day planning the things that you're doing tomorrow, I just encourage you to trial it for a week and see how much success you have, because you absolutely and utterly can do it all in this business. You just have to remember, the more scheduled you are, the more freedom you're going to have, and keeping track of things like your IPA is really going to help you realize that you really are either spending the time thinking about your business or actively actually working your business. So I want you to ask yourself, are you going to treat your business like a job and stick to your schedule? Respect your time, respect your family's time, respect your upline's time, really respect your significant other's time, and really enjoy the journey, because this business doesn't have to be hard if you just employ a few simple strategies just to get it done. Make those small sacrifices, make those small adjustments, because if you do what you need to do, when you need to do it, you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. And I love this saying about you can either pay now, so pay for the time now and play later, or play now and pay later. Either way, we have to play. We have to pay. Totally nailed that, not. But hopefully I've shared a few little, pearls of wisdom or little nuggets with you all, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to share a few tips and tricks. So I really, really wish you all the very best. Good luck with your time management, and thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.